Once you see both these men on the screen, you know it's going to be the transfer show brought to you on the Dynamo Podcast Network on YouTube. Head over there, smash that subscribe bell notification button. Audio versions of the show are available through Spotify, iTunes, all that good kind of stuff. Pop in. And if you'd like to contact the show, you'll get us at the_upper_tier. This is your weekly transfer show. We bring you all the latest news, gossip, and opinion. Joining me today, as always, my partner on the transfer show, Dean Fitz. Dean, how we doing?
Couldn't be better, my man. Couldn't be better. Always a good time to see your beautiful face.
Thank you very much. Another week into fatherhood. How we doing? How's the mascot doing?
Have you not seen the bags under the eyes? No.
Welcome to my world.
It's all good. Knock on wood. He knows day from night, so he fights to sleep during the day, and he loves to sleep at night. So long may that continue.
Brilliant, great news. Great to see Lewis doing good and all. Excellent. Let's get into this transfer show. Start with Everton and Tottenham. Apparently showing interest in Kurt Zouma.
Yeah. It's a big step down in your career, isn't it? Going from a Champions League winner, and I'd like to see him go to Roma. I think that'd be a great move for him under Mourinho. Now Mourinho's a big admirer of him. Then again, he might be settled in. He might be settled in England. He might be settled in London, especially with Spurs interested. New project at Spurs. Yeah, could see him partnering Yerry Mina though beside Yerry Mina at Everton as well. So it's three exciting moves for a player who's looking for a new project anyway. But if I had a choice of the three, and that's probably myself, be going with Roma. That would be a decent move.
Yeah, certainly a player Spurs would love to get anyway, and badly needed, I'd imagine.
Yeah, Spurs would love to sign me. Never mind fucking Kurt Zouma, the way things are going there.
Absolutely. Let's move on. Ben Davies. Rumblings about potential move to Celtic. I know he had said that he was going to stay at Liverpool and kind of fight it out and all this kind of stuff, but I can't see that being the case. Can you? I mean, he has to move, and I think Liverpool should do the right thing and let him go to Celtic.
Yeah, with Reece Williams kind of on the edges of the fort now, when Nat Phillips shown what he did shown that he is good enough last season, and Konate coming in, and you have Mata coming back from injury, if Joe Gomez coming back from injury, if Verge coming back from injury. If Klopp did trust him, we would have seen him at some stage last season. There's no point keeping a player on the books just for the sake of having your English quota of players up and what have you, homegrown players and stuff. Celtic are crying out for a central defender, and it's a win-win for everybody, you know what I mean? He's going to go there. He's going to be one of the first-choice centre-halves. Liverpool aren't necessarily going to miss him because we don't know what was there to miss last season. I think it was just personally to have a centre-back on the bench. Even at times when we were crying out for a centre-back, he still didn't play. So, look, if Klopp is the man that we know he is, he lets him go to Celtic. It's no loss to Liverpool. So, I hope that, like you said, I hope Liverpool do the right thing and let him go. And, he hasn't played football in over a year. So, now is a perfect chance. And with the project, Celtic are in a rebuilding project as well now. So it's exciting times, and they need to start making a couple of decent signings to catch up on Rangers, because the names that Rangers are linked with, they could go on a run now and win 2 or 3 titles in a row, because there's massive upheaval at Celtic. And where Laurel and all gone. So, yeah, hope Liverpool do the right thing and let him go.
Yeah, it's a good report there from Anfield Watch. I wonder, is there a case that maybe we should explore maybe a loan move and get him out there and get him playing, because he didn't cost us a huge amount of money, and he could flourish into a super player that we might like. Are we sort of we haven't really given him a chance and looked at him in fairness. He came in, he got injured, but he was coming in a real difficult time as well, as you can imagine, So I'm just wondering, maybe should we potentially look at loaning him out maybe, and then, have a look at him through that season, maybe loan him out to Celtic, which is still kind of doing the right thing,
100%, let him go on loan. We'll have that, a lot of loans now where they have to stay there for the year. I'm sure there could be that agreement that if he goes on loan and we need him back in an emergency, because again, touch wood, who's to say that Virgil doesn't break down? Who's to say Joe Gomez, Matip doesn't break down and we're stuck in that predicament again? Like, you'd like to have a natural centre back there to answer the questions. Just don't want to see us go back. I don't think it'll happen, but I don't want to see next season being a case of you're taking Hendo or Fabinho out of the middle of the park to play centre half again. So maybe send them on loan, with the clause there that if he has to come back, whether it's after one game or if it's after 15 or 20 or 30 games, we have that option there to call him back. But even a loan to buy or a loan, something like that, we have to look at the bigger picture here as well. Klopp obviously saw something in him, bringing him in, maybe necessarily thought that the pressure would have been too much with the season that we were having. It was a very ropey time to throw someone into the deep end like that. So, yeah, we need to come up with some sort of solution. But I'd like to see him going, maybe with the option of loan to buy, or with that said clause about, look, if we do need him back in an emergency case, we can call him back at any time.
Yeah, I think with the list of players we have in there, it'd be a serious emergency before we have to go down as far as that, because we Phillips in there, Konate came in, Reece Williams. Like, we do have a lot of cover there now, so very touch wood, it goes good for us anyway. The Mail Online reporting that Tottenham are interested in the OR deal. This is a deal that Arsenal have been working on all summer long. They've made it very clear this is a player they wanted. I'd say at this stage for at least 3 months. I think there was even rumblings back in January. And all of a sudden Tottenham have cropped up here. I'm not sure whether it's realistic or whether it's them just trying to punch their nose into Arsenal's business and maybe try and create a little bit of an issue there, if you like. But look, I mean, he's been talking with Arsenal. Arsenal been talking with him. I don't know why he was suddenly just switched to Tottenham.
He was linked with some big, he's been linked with Arsenal, he's been linked with Liverpool. His name was thrown into the hat for Barcelona. His name was thrown into the hat for Bayern Munich. The only thing I can see from this with Spurs is they're trying to iron things out with Harry Kane, saying, "Oh, well, we're linked with this player." I do not see that deal happening whatsoever. He's too good to sign for Spurs. No disrespect to Spurs, but there's bigger problems there, than Hassim Aouar. There's no chance. The European Conference football, he's too good. From what I've seen personally, I think he's too good for that level of football, and I think that Spurs need to focus on keeping Harry Kane and sorting out their back four. But the only thing I see through that name being mentioned with Spurs is that they're trying to come up with names to try and cling on to straws regarding Harry Kane. I don't see that deal coming into fruition at all. If I do see him going to England, it's definitely going to be to Arsenal.
Yeah, well then I suppose when you look at it as well, I mean, like, as low down as the Europa Conference is, Arsenal don't have any European football. So, I mean, I suppose, is it a balancing act there? Maybe, but they're very late to the party. I'd imagine Arsenal would have been well advanced on these talks at this stage, you know what I mean? And the switch to
Maybe
Spurs.
Arsenal are looking at the fact that with so many players going out, regarding Granit Xhaka, I seen one report during the week that Liverpool were actually linked with Granit Xhaka. We've been linked, as I said, we've been linked with anybody that has a pair of football boots that plays in the middle of the park. I really don't know. I'd hate to be a Spurs or an Arsenal fan at the moment because you're just hanging in the limbo now, aren't you? I'd love to get Graham on and hear his opinion on what's going on with Spurs, because we haven't spoke to Graham in a long time. But as I said, the first thing I said that Spurs need to do before we finish the season was that they need to get a new manager in. Now it's Nuno Espirito Santos, but like you were saying that one of the names that he threw at Levy that he wanted in the door first was Connor Cody. He's not going to solve any problems at Spurs. There's a massive project there. They need to get this Harry Kane deal needs to either they need to let him go and get the money and like build something now. Because the longer this goes, when you think of Niall, we're 6 weeks away from the start of the season.
Yeah, I think now with the Euros finishing up this weekend, I think next week is going to be all hands on deck. I just think it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, we'll be doing an upper tier transfer show every fucking 12 hours. We will once the Euros finishes.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, Spanish publication AS are reporting as well. Tottenham are interested in entering the market for Jules Koundé, who's been linked heavily with obviously Real Madrid and Manchester United and stuff like that. But again, as you said, maybe is them trying to paint a picture here in terms of the transfer window. Again, a player who's absolute baller, and again, you would question is really his home in the Europa Conference. I wouldn't have thought so.
No, that's never going to happen again. This is anyone that Spurs are linked with that's of a decent level, Niall, for me, is trying to sweeten Harry Kane to stay. That is the only thing I've seen happen. Spurs, if they lose Harry Kane, they're not going to get any big targets, Niall. Let's be realistic. They are not going to sign any of probably their top 2 or 3 targets. And next season is going to be horrific for a Spurs fan because it's not going to get any better anytime soon. This again is just a big name, great player. We've seen what he done last season. And it's basically just to sweeten Harry Kane. If he's going anywhere, I see Real Madrid with Varane looking likely to go now and Ramos gone. If Real Madrid are interested in you and you know you're going to go straight into that team, who will you pick? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah. Sports Bible, I should say, reporting that Berbatov has advised Manchester United to go out and sign Calvin Phillips. I think he'd be a great signing for Manchester United. He's had an absolute brilliant Euros. Certainly marshalled that midfield there with Declan Rice, and certainly seems to be one of the first players on the team sheet in terms of England's midfield. Definitely stepped up, has impressed me greatly in this tournament. His work rate is outstanding, box to box. What you thinking on this?
Yeah, 100%. I'd love Liverpool to sign him. We're talking about all the names Liverpool are linked with him. He's definitely another name I'd love to see on that wish list at Liverpool. He's been outstanding. He's going to be in the team of the tournament 100%. He's been absolutely outstanding. Came into the Euros. We knew he was a good. We knew he was a good player from the season he had with Leeds. I wasn't expecting. I spoke about probably since the turn of the year about Phil Foden was going to be the standout player for England at the Euros. Completely underwhelmed. But when you do talk about the 2 or 3 players that have stood out for England, Calvin Phillips, Declan Rice, Raheem Sterling, I'm not surprised that he's had such a good tournament. But again, young English player, his performances at the Euros have put another 20 or 30 million onto his price tag. So that's probably going to be where United will kind of stand back, because we know what United are like when it comes to United. Still think that dominant team under Fergie, where they can go out and just demand you're going to give us a player and all. It's not like that anymore. And Leeds don't need to sell realistically. The project that's there, I think the Leeds bring in Trincao during the week as well. They've brought in 3 very, very good signings already this summer. If I'm Calvin Phillips, I'm staying at Leeds. The project there, playing at a full Ellen Road next season. I'm buzzing to see Ellen Road full next season. My uncle's a season ticket holder, and we're trying to get me to go to Ellen Road with him for the Liverpool game, and then vice versa for Leeds at Anfield and all. If you're a neutral fan, you have to be looking forward to seeing what Leeds will do with a full Ellen Road next season. It's going to be buzzing.
Absolutely. Dario AS are reporting that obviously Liverpool and Chelsea are high on the radar in terms of Saul Niguez. You mentioned me yesterday. You sent me a message saying better call Saul, and it sounds like he was going to go there, but we'll have to see what happens. So yeah, Saul Niguez then. The interesting thing, I mean, he's been linked with Liverpool, but Liverpool have been listed with every midfielder this year with a heartbeat. But Fabrizio Romano reported there during the week as well, saying that Liverpool apparently are not in the market for a midfielder, which was kind of an interesting development on this story.
Interesting development on the story, but I know like he's kind of a trusted source now, but he doesn't know exactly everything that's going on behind the scenes at Liverpool, and Liverpool aren't exactly. Don't remember Fabrizio Romano knowing anything about Fabinho going to Liverpool, do you? Don't remember him knowing kind of Alisson and Van Dijk were kind of public projects, as you'd say, but nobody's came out and said that there's no truth to this other than him. I believe that it's going to happen. I think the only stumbling block is the fact that he's on 270 grand a week at Atletico Madrid, and Liverpool's top earner is Mo Salah on 200 grand a week. The fact that he's a Nike athlete as well, the the price tag is nothing. From what I'm led to believe, the personal terms are all agreed. He's willing to take a pay cut. So, this week should be interesting for Liverpool, because I read last night that not only are they interested in signing guests, but they are interested in signing either Yuri Tielemans or Renato Sanchez as well, which leads me to believe that we're going to see Divock Origi heading off to Genk for 12 million. Naby Keita, I believe, will be let leave. So, yeah, as much as we do love the Fabrizio Romano popping up with us, here we go. Look, until someone comes out and if we come out and sign two other players, we come out and sign one other player, and that kind of puts a final nail in the coffin to the Saul deal. I personally believe that it's going to happen.
Yeah, well, I'd say Liverpool will be looking to tie up business pretty quickly soon, because they're heading off on Thursday to Austria for their pre-season camp. So, yeah. I mean, they'll want those players involved. I read an article there, Konate is quite excited about this and stuff like that. So they'll want to tie in those players and get them in there for a good pre-season, you know.
Yeah, just regarding Konate, his video with the jersey in the French street football pitch with the fireworks and all, what scenes, man.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, insane, brilliant.
Yeah. Ben White has kind of nearly confirmed to his English teammates that he's on his way to the Emirates. I don't think this was any secret that he was going to go to Arsenal anyway. Yeah, I think it's a good signing for Arsenal. I think it's exactly what they need, especially with sort of the upheaval there at the back and stuff that's going on. So, good luck
definitely.
Good luck to Ben White at Arsenal. Other report coming in from the Mail online saying that Barcelona and Atletico are trying to tie up a kind of a swap deal for Saul Niguez and Antonio Griezmann. Anton Griezmann, I should say. I don't know. This is a deal that I think would suit both clubs, because I look at these swap deals and they're so difficult to put together, because you're always going to find a situation where one player is very happy, and the other player has no interest in going that way at all. And, you know, I don't even sometimes understand how the financial aspect of this works out, because obviously in a move, there's a certain element of that move goes to the player and the agent and stuff like that. So it's how you break it down from a financial point of view and agree and stuff like that must be very difficult to put these swap moves together. But this seems like a swap move, assuming he doesn't go to Liverpool or Chelsea or whatever it is. This seems like a swap move that would be perfect for both clubs.
Yeah, 100%. But just regarding Saul, Barcelona are in severe financial difficulty, and we heard that Memphis Depay had to take a 30% pay cut for that. Like Sergio Aguero and Memphis Depay still haven't even registered with Barcelona, because they're not allowed to register because of the financial restraints at the club at the moment. So, yeah, I'm not looking too much into that deal at the moment. Barcelona are in major trouble with what's going on there money-wise.
And then I suppose you're trying to drop a player in there, as you said, on 270, 280,000. And then it's what do you do with that, you know?
Yeah, 100%. With great, especially with Griezmann as well, because the talk is, well, I read this morning that the talk with Griezmann is City are interested in Griezmann now, and Man United are leading the race for Harry Kane. So, yeah, I just want Liverpool to get their business done and just sit back and enjoy the rigmarole of what's going on at the Manchester clubs and Chelsea, because Guardiola came out again this week and said that Man City are in no way, shape or form financially able to fund the Harry Kane move, which is strange because they're also talking about 100 million for Jack Grealish. So if you're not in a place to fund the Harry Kane move, you're not in a place to fund the Jack Grealish move. And I'd say he's looking at Raheem Sterling's performances at the Euros and saying, well, do we really need to go and spend 100 million on Jack Grealish when we know what Raheem can do? So should be a fun few weeks.
Yeah, maybe it's a case they can only afford one or the other.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting one for you here. Our good friends over at the Boot Room are reporting that Liverpool are interested in opening talks with Chiesa. This would be very exciting. Excuse me.
I was reading on it this morning. I think they're talking 77 million. Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't want to keep saying this, but again, any name that Liverpool's been linked to, I'd be very excited with. He's been one of the standout players, along with Insigne at the Euros. Chiesi's such a young, exciting, exceptional talent. I just love this buzz that's going on at Liverpool at the moment. The fact that we've been successful and we're being linked with these big names, and we're not just throwing the names into the hat and trying to keep the fans happy. Like, we're being linked with these players, and there's genuine signs that we could sign them. Again, whoever we sign this window, I'm going to be happy with. But yeah, we saw last week. We're talking about saying, "Oh, geez, I'd love to sign Saul," but if we get Chiesa in,
absolutely. Transfer Tavern reporting. This is our first time the Transfer Tavern has reported onto the show. Steve Howie looking at Patson Daka as the long-term replacement for Jamie Vardy. This is kind of the very obvious statement to make, isn't it? I mean, if you didn't even know anything about football, it'd be very obvious that Patson Daka would be Jamie Vardy's replacement.
Round of applause for Steve Howie. I wonder did he think that up in 3 or 4 weeks when he was on the bills up in Newcastle there chatting shite. Another one that's came out was Burrow since England started doing well at the Euros. Him and John Barris were like the fucking Chuckle brothers on Sky Sports, and he was giving it the big one. Me and you talked about this regarding him going to Leicester, and there's a bigger project there for himself, and how much of the respect and credit I have for him, knowing that he's looking at the bigger picture there for himself, when he could have went and sat on the bench at Liverpool and played probably 15, 20 games probably, unless he comes in and hits the ground running. He's looking at the picture there and saying, well, Vardy's going to be around for probably a couple of years. If I can come in here and like 4 days the Champions League football or better, he's going to be a hero there. And as you said, the bigger picture is the long-term picture for himself.
Yeah, absolutely. Ren teenager Camavinga, very, very exciting player, super player, I think, super talent. Apparently Chelsea have entered the market for him as well, along with Manchester United. I know Manchester United have been talking about him now for a number of months, and it had looked like the link was very solid there in terms of bringing him in. But it looks like Chelsea now are very interested in this kid as well.
I think Chelsea are interested in anybody that's around them and who they want to sign. They know they have the money there. They can go out and up the ante on the wages, and they could probably throw an extra 5 or 10 million on top of the price tag. But this is one where Fabrizio Romano said that this deal would be done. He didn't come out with his famous "here we go," but he said that Man United were pushing for this deal to be pushed, like, to get it done pretty soon. Very, very good player, very exciting player. Yeah, I don't know with Chelsea at the moment. Like, there's so many good players there. If he does go to Chelsea, say being a boy, and then he goes out on loan to Rennes probably for another year or somewhere else, probably in the Premier League. I think Chelsea's main priority is trying to get that Haaland deal done and getting Declan Rice in. So if I'm honest, I probably don't even see Camavinga even going to England this summer. To be honest, I think anyone that the likes of United, Chelsea, United, Liverpool, City are linked with, I think Chelsea are just throwing the name into the hat just to kind of up the price tag on their rivals.
Absolutely. Well, this has been your weekly dose of all things transfer, gossip, news, opinion. But today we have to leave you with a little bit of bad news. We're hearing today that Paul Marner, England and Ipswich player and also renowned journalist and pundit, has passed away at the age of 68. So we want to send our prayers, thoughts and condolences to Paul Marner's family at this difficult time. Again, a very young age to pass away. But a man that I really enjoyed on some of his correspondence with ESPN and stuff like that. And his articles were fantastic, proper footballing man. So yeah, we send our thoughts, prayers and condolences to his family. So with that, Dean, another transfer show in the bag. Another week.
Come on, Italy. Come on, Italy.
Yeah, it's going to be a belter of a final, isn't it? Can't wait for this. Very excited for it. And don't forget, tune in. Don't forget, next week, the transfer show. This should be really electric. A lot of deals going to fly in on a daily basis. Absolutely. As always, Dynamo Podcast Network for episodes of the show. iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, all these great places for audio versions of the show. And if you'd like to contact the show or drop your comments in what you think, if there's anything we've missed or anything you want to discuss or any ideas you have on what we discussed today, drop them in the comments there, or you can hit us up on Twitter at @the_upper_tier. You'll get us on the upper tier on Facebook. You'll catch us on the upper tier on Instagram. We're everywhere. This show is taken over. We will will chat to you again next week. Cheers, Dean.
Peace out, my brother.